Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are we all?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Kalyan.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Should we wait for a couple of more minutes? Or meanwhile, you can start discussing anyway. Any reflection which is coming immediately in the mind?
When you mentioned right and wrong is opinion, right? What about the society implement? For example, like you can't kill someone, you can't hurt someone. So that is something society imposed, right and wrong. Whether you like it or not, you have to obey, right? So that's also opinion, or how we need to align to that.
See, when we see something as a rule, that has a physical aspect and a psychological aspect, both. So for a system, some protocols are set. If under the inquiring lens we try and understand this, then those do have physical requirement to be implemented. Now, if that goes into the psychological domain, then that becomes fixation and opinion. Right. For example, if you wish to remain in the geographical territory of India, then you have to have Aadhaar card. That's a physical requirement to actually avail the facilities offered by the government. If one wishes to avail it, then must have Aadhaar card. That's a physical ruling of the government. Now, if Aadhaar card becomes your pride or a burden psychologically, that becomes an opinion. Now, the physical requirement do have some logical explanations, and that also dynamically changes. Because you can see, like before few years, Aadhaar card was not there. Now it is implemented because people might have brainstormed, like ideally people should physical requirement is the criteria of brainstorming and bringing protocols. If it becomes a choice, somebody's personal choice or a choice of a group, then it becomes a psychological imposition. Are you able to comprehend?
Yeah, so basically between having a vaccination, we can still say no versus having an Aadhaar card to live in the country, kind of, right? The first one is physical, second one is your option.
You never know when it is going to be mandatory. So far, vaccination is not mandatory. It's optional. And they like the government also do have a lot of limitations to make it mandatory, because of the uncertainty of the impact of vaccination. And if it is made mandatory, then government has to take the responsibility of any consequences, which is very complicated thing. That's why it probably not going to be mandatory ever.
No, I'm not getting into the technical data. I'm saying the combination, what you mentioned is psychological, is if I have an option, I'm still, I should get vaccinated, and because that's good for me, or I should not get vaccinated. All that is coming into opinion, correct? The right and wrong opinion.
Yes.
Vaccination is good for me.
When there is a confusion kind of things appear, that's definitely. And what changes person to person? Opinion is basically something which changes person to person.
Got it.
And when you say confusion, it is in the physical space,
No,
not from a health perspective.
When the protocols are set, when the
Yeah, so
protocols are
from the
set,
protocol's perspective, it is confusing right now,
Yeah, yeah.
whether
if the
But-
foundation of the protocol is having a philosophical implication, philosophy is a choice. You understand? Philosophy is a choice. Suppose government of India proposes that nobody should eat beef, and the banning. So you see, the banning and narrating the truth are two different things. Beef is not meant for, or for that matter, any kind of flesh, animal flesh is not meant for human consumption. That is very evident. Nobody can consume it in its natural form. Narration of this is something else. But if it is imposed upon, then that has a philosophical disposition of imposing the protocol. You see the difference? Like there is a state in India also where liquor consumption is banned. But if you visit that state, because it's a neighboring state where I stay, you'll see the most of the consumption of liquor happen there. So ban practically doesn't work. Protocol, a dynamic protocol may work, which must be visited and revisited by all the participating members. The inquiring rational protocols. Yes, Ram.
So I was just thinking about, for example, let's go to, so we'll not get into probably the technicality of vaccination or a liquor banning, but if you think about like same vaccination case in India, it is still not forced as a rule.
Yes.
So now if since it's not forced as a rule, if I wanted because I feel it's a good thing, my wife wanted because she feels it's a bad thing, then we have, for one it is the right thing to do, for one it's not a right thing to do. So this is right and wrong comes into play. Okay, because in India it's not a rule, so between us right and wrong comes into play, right? This opinion.
Yeah. So
Is that right?
Yeah. So let's
Because it
go,
varies person to person.
yeah.
Now,
Let's go
if
little.
I need to get into Australia, if both of us need to go to Australia,
Yeah.
then my wife don't have an option. If we are migrating to Australia, consider we decided to go to that country. Now she don't have an option. She need to get vaccinated, right? So then where this falls under, the person is, according to the person opinion, is not, it's wrong, but the country says if you need to live here, you must do it. So now where this fits for my wife's case? Because for me, I feel right and I don't care about the rule because I'm following the rule already.
Yeah. So now here comes the rationality, the understanding of rationality from both the ends. From the party which is imposing a protocol, and from the party who is opting that protocol. Why is
Okay,
it?
let's keep the Australia moving thing away. If Australia, consider India is also imposing tomorrow, right? For whatever reason, you should get vaccinated. Otherwise, you will not have any facility of the citizen, right? It's a must, or probably you will be jailed or whatsoever. Just for a discussion.
Yeah. So suppose your company has imposed that if you are not vaccinated, you will be fired. That becomes a company rule. Now, one must understand why vaccination is proposed at the first place. The health is the reason.
Yeah.
Right. So for betterment of health, vaccination is proposed. Now, suppose somebody understands health at through some other alternative perspective, and also understands that vaccination is not a healthy option. But to retain the job, he has to vaccinate himself. So
Okay.
you see the rational changes here. The vaccination, the very purpose of vaccination is the health, but here it becomes retaining a job.
No, consider, okay, maybe job, I still have an option. I can quit that firm and go to different firm. But living in a country, your citizenship is in one country. You can't live anywhere in the world if you don't follow this country rule. So let's consider country rule where I don't have an option. Job, I still have an option. I can resign that company and which company allows, because then I will execute that option. But if it's a country imposed.
Yeah, you have to leave the country. That kind of situation, right?
Yeah, consider it's a rule for entire world, right? So that to live here, you need to follow that. There's no option.
Yeah.
Even country, then if you give an option like other one country allows, I can still execute the choice.
Yes.
But consider that all over the world, this is a rule for
Yes.
vaccination, because no country allows without vaccination. If
Yes.
that's the situation.
Yeah. So in that case, when one is opting a facility, and for opting the facility, obeying the protocols, then the clarity of the protocol also needs to be there with the individual. If the individual is clear that there is no other option but to stay in India, and India has imposed vaccination mandatory for all the citizens. So one will ideally analyze the aspect, understands that it is not a health requirement, it is a protocol requirement to stay in the country. And it is set by a group of people who cannot be governed otherwise, governed by any other rational, or there would be debate, argument. One can always go to the court and file a petition against it. But otherwise, if the situation comes like this, that one has to vaccinate to stay in the country, then one would probably go for vaccination, but will not have a psychological attachment towards the rationale of the vaccination, that vaccination is done for my health. In that case, the body will definitely activate itself. Otherwise also it will, but with full energy, it will activate itself and throw the ill impact of the vaccine out.
So in this case, my P3 and P2 is not aligned to that rule, but I still go and execute the action.
Yes, it is not bringing any P2, but your P3 is very clear that I'm doing it just to stay in India. Otherwise, I'll be thrown out, because there are a lot of things around us which are imposed and we don't find it's rational, but then also you have to follow. Like in case of you have to stand up if there is a national anthem playing. It's a useless protocol imposed to everyone, but one has to. So while standing up, what is the psychological disposition? Psychologically, if you are affected, if you are sensing an obsession, then you are affected. Perennially, you are affected. Otherwise, just to remain in the group, if you are just standing up, there is no attachment, there is no stickiness. You understand this?
Yeah. Got it. So basically, my P3 is about this vaccination is not a right thing to do, my perception, and then, but I go and execute a P1, which is against
we can actually use the term, it's not natural things to do. Right and wrong again will confine the thing to opinions.
No, as per my perception in P3, I'm saying.
Yes. So there will be a right and wrong. What is the problem in right and wrong? Our brain operates in a framework. It never understands. Suppose so actually there was a debate at my place also. The other day I was sharing with some group. There's a ration, government offers ration, free ration in West Bengal. There are different categories of ration cards where free rations of different quantities are provided to the citizens.
Yeah.
Right. In ration, they give rice and wheat. rice and wheat they give. In my family, I and my mother have the ration card. So we don't use that wheat and rice. So for years, it is being used by someone else, by our house help actually. Now, recently they have implemented that one has to visit the ration office to draw the ration for the fingerprint. It is biometrically vetted so that there is no misuse. So now from last few months, what I used to do, I used to go and collect the ration and hand it over to the house help. Now, from last few months, because of my mom's treatment and all those travels, those were missing. Now, this month, when we are back to the house, mom is insisting me go and bring ration and hand it over to the house help. So I said, no, I'm not going. So she got irritated that you are a crazy person. You don't have any kindness. Do you think that if you are saying that don't eat rice and they are not going to eat? So it's it's just your adamant attitude and craziness with which you are going ahead. So I just parked that let me see kind of. It's in that stage. Now let me share the rationale of this understanding. I'm not giving excuse, but I'm trying to understand the operation of brain. When the brain doesn't understand right and wrong, that comes from the physiological stickiness, sensation. Brain is a perceptory domain. So where if you are doing something for something, and the same thing you are not doing for somebody or something, like you are not considering rice as a food for Kalyan, but you are offering rice for consumption for someone else. So there is a dissonance. This is called dissonance. You are able to understand? Brain doesn't understand this difference. That how come it is applicable for this person, and on the other hand, you are not consuming rice because you are understanding that it's not natural food. So how come it can be natural foods for someone else? So there will be a conflict, and that same P3P2 loop. So understanding this, I'm sensing there is no need to go for it. I could offer her some extra fruits per day. That's what I spoke to the lady also, that every day you will be given with a fruit breakfast. So that could be an option to offer some validity, valid health to the individual. That could be an option. And another aspect is that we are not doing any philanthropy by employing her. Philanthropy is something else. We cannot juxtapose philanthropy and employment of somebody, because employment has got the validity of the work. That's it. There's no connection of philanthropy. What we get confused with is the employment and the philanthropy. Fringe benefits comes out of that. We consider the fringe benefit would retain the employees, which perhaps sometime work, but it's an irrational way of retaining an employability. Attrition is countered with the fringe benefits, right? Many time, Ram?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
particularly in India, it's felt like, like more than money, what you give additional is what attracts people, right?
Yeah. It's a tactful management of avoiding attrition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shilpi.
So when you give this example, I'm wondering that so you do it for avoiding the dissonance in your mind.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand this because
Looks like so, yes. Because see, I'm not getting any sense of doing it right now. I'm still
So,
inquiring. I'm still inquiring this. Yeah.
Because it's
so
not that, sorry, yeah, Ram, go ahead.
good.
So it is not that that person is not going to get those things from somewhere else. That person is anyway going to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is for your own mind dissonance.
Yeah, perhaps
are-
that's not the egoistic mind as such, but mind as a whole. If it is a
Yeah.
part of universal consciousness, then it identifies truth and perhaps continue with truth without any stickiness. Without any stickiness, that's a continuous exploration of truth. Is it
So
complete?
you
You
are
are consuming rice, although you understand that it is unnatural,
Yeah.
but it has not percolated, or that that awareness is still not come in. So intellectually you get it that this is not the food, but you are continuing it. Would you then still continue giving it to someone else?
It depends. It depends. Like what the final action is, we don't know yet. But while inquiring and continuing, because of the past conditioning, is somewhat which is not identified as natural act. But because of the conditioning, this is happening. It is neither a justification, but inquiring experience of that particular moment. So there will be fallout in the process of transition of food habits or any kind of habit. If some unnatural habit has been conditioned and you, through inquiry, you are clear that this is unnatural. There is no doubt about it at all. With the logical exploration, you are clear that this is an unnatural act, but still you are continuing. Still you are continuing and you will be eventually continue it for some time. That's what I think Prajakta asked yesterday about the toxemia. So psychological domain works instantly, but the physical aspect goes slowly for the detoxification. It doesn't happen this way that you are clear about the aspects of natural and unnatural and instantly you are out of the toxemic state. That cannot be possible because physically something is accumulated that needs to go off slowly and gradually. And this is not a justification in any way. Try and understand the depth of it. It is a fact that the physical matters will move. So action is a physical matter. So action wise, this is dropping slowly and gradually. If you can look at it without stickiness, without justification, without appreciation, without guilt, then only the movement will be faster for its dropping. Are you able to comprehend this?
Yes.
So the
Oh,
toxemia, yeah.
When somebody is doing some unnatural work, doing that means there is justification, right?
Yes. Yes, there is subtle justification. But how it is
Yeah.
sticking to your psychological domain, that's also questionable. And the dropping of this occurrences will drop if one is consistently inquiring. There is no stoppage of inquiry. Once it is started, it will never stop.
Never stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if that justification is occurring for that moment, because one bite, if you take, that's a form of
Yeah.
justification. You are rightly
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah.
But then also parallelly, you are looking at it. You are seeing your
Yeah,
own
yeah.
justification also.
Yes.
Yes. Then it will
Yes.
start dropping gradually. And the deeper is the process, like there is chance of getting conditioned back, getting addicted back. These all will be the ongoing journey for everyone differently. It will happen. But if one is very much alert in the inquiring process, then eventually it will get back to you in a state of end of suffering completely.
Hmm.
End of
So
physical pain
probably,
completely. Sorry. End of suffering is instantly. End of physical pain happens gradually. Yes, Ram.
so if you have time, probably a couple of things is in the same line I want to understand. One is what driven you are serving this, like you had conflict, you should not eat, but you are still giving the rice to them. And then a gap of travel. Now you are thinking that why, if I'm not eating, why should I give? So what is that change of inquiry you went through? That is one. The second thing is, consider you are in a situation where somebody is not having a food, any food, right, for probably a few days, and they're about to die, and you have the same rice or probably wheat food, which you are in a situation that if you give, they will survive, right? In that case, how you inquire the situation? Now your maid is having an option. They are not dying. They don't have. They have multiple avenues, even though you don't give.
Yeah.
Maybe your mother will find somebody else to get it. All that they have avenues. They are under pressure.
Yeah.
But so you are not also your emotion also not touched or whatsoever, right? Now you are in a situation where you have a cooked food, and then which is rice, and somebody is starving to kind of save life or something. In that scenario, how this conflict of thoughts going, you still stick to, no, rice is not good for people, I will not give, or you will give because you are the only person going to save that person with whatever you have in your hand?
Yeah, probably I'll give. Probably I'll give.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
see, it's a physical scenario which matters the most, not the psychological consideration.
Okay.
So these all unnatural foods became food under the state of scarcity. Under the state of scarcity, that's a survival question. When we started eating flesh for the first time, that was a survival question. Now it became luxury.
So basically, my inquiry is kind of just the same way I was inquiring about this. So that's the reason I wanted to validate.
Yes. So the physical, now one has to vet it repeatedly, that if it is really a state of no option, which is highly unlikely in a normal scenario. But there would be cases where there would not be any option but to consume something to sustain. That's what is the survival question, right? And the state of no option.
So I was inquiring that is that intended by nature also, that eating flesh first time, was that intended by nature also?
How you are arriving at intention of nature? It's an assumption, right? Intention of nature, what is that? What do you mean by that? You are considering at the first place that nature is an entity who has intention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you see the
And
assumption there?
yeah, and then fruits were not sufficient that time.
What
Right.
was not sufficient?
Fruits.
Fruits. Yeah. So scarcity of fruits. Scarcity of fruits is the primary reason to shift to something else at the beginning. Then we started making it an entertainment, because we realized, as the genre mankind, we realized that it is not consumable. Then we found an option that this stone dust, if we mix, which is salt, then it becomes consumable. With trial and error, this got revealed. That's how all the spices, herbs, all these comes, and we started exploring how the taste can be enhanced further. So that trail started. Yeah.
How to look at that shift, that point? How to rationally look at it? Then why fruits were not sufficient that time if we are designed to have fruits only?
See, because of the movement of the organism, the provisioning of the food, sometime it goes haywire. Like, we are designed to stay in a tropical forest, but due to many psychological dispositions, we started exploring the world where it is not livable in a cold climate, especially it's not a livable place. It's not conducive to human. But we made a cold place luxury place, and now it's an attractive place. Everybody wants to go there because of one reason, that is the psychological disposition of success. Otherwise, as far as the survival is concerned, it is not at all a livable place. So what can be done there? There one has to find out some alternative, and in the way of finding out alternatives, these entertainment luxurious food had become a tradition culture.
Hmm. So disposition of brain, you said,
Dispositions of
of what did you say that time?
psychological
People.
disposition and exploring the world around. Then we started not considering the survival need more than the psychological need. That is what is the P3 P2 loop. When we are going somewhere, we are not considering that the primary food is very important. If that place doesn't have fruits, which is our primary food, why should I go there? If I at all go there, I should provision my survival requirement at the first level. We don't consider that. We think that, okay, whatever is available there we'll have. Kind of luxurious psychological dispositions that operate. Do you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it went on. If we are driven by the mind, then the things will definitely become complicated, and one after another challenges that we'll face, and that will eat up our energy endlessly.
Yes, yes.
It's like if you are lying, then you have to prepare for a series of lies to justify the
Yeah.
lie, the first lie. It's the same way it operates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think only 2 minutes are left for this session. So the recap will happen in the next session. We can just continue discussing for 2 minutes in this session. Yeah. How are you doing, Manisha? Yeah, Ram.
So if you have any probably content, because my inquiry is around like how come this agriculture and the food thing happened? Because people when people talk about, like, if only fruit or something is a food, raw is a food, why God or the nature given us to kind of agriculture and cooking, all this stuff, community living, all that. So this inquiry I couldn't reach anywhere. So I'm not sure whether how this cooking, agriculture, all that came in when the food is when we can.
Probably the start is due to the scarcity. Then when a human realized that here with this particular modification in the taste, it becomes more pleasurable. There is a comparison between the pleasure of fruits and pleasure of modified taste. Then they found that this is more pleasurable. Why not to go for this? Then that series of research and all those exploration on the name of innovations, and cooking become an art, started considering cooking as an art, and the enhancement of the art, all those trails started. Perhaps this looks like that way the operations have been done. But still,
So
the physical change didn't happen. Like we are still not able to eat the things which we are producing. Mayavi will take the in the next session. Few
Okay.
seconds are left.
Sure.
Few seconds are left. Yeah. So let's rejoin and continue.